It's something weird. It's a lot of guys, you're aspiring, traditional conservative, brand new kid out there, really wants to find himself a wife and a family and meet all those hallmarks of a traditional conservative white picket fence mental model. The problem is, they all come to talk about vetting your woman as if it's the be all and end all. Just vet harder, bro. If anything goes wrong, it's his fault. If she changes, it's her fault for not following the rules. When in general, the problem is vetting is an absolutely abysmal relationship strategy. Now, normally I deal with guys who are already in the relationship, but in this case, for the younger guys who are looking to get into one, it's the kind of thing that you can either learn the hard way by vetting a girl and then finding it doesn't work, or learning a better method: boundary enforcement. So vetting is a horrible strategy because, first off, when you're vetting, you're still new. You're fairly naive. You're a younger guy, and by young I mean under the age of 55. Men don't know what they want in life. We have a wonderful ability to rationalize what the world gave us, and we pretend it's what we wanted all along. If you dated goth girls in high school, then you start to think that goth girls are your thing. If you were approached by the girl next door, then you like that good wholesome girl. Guys are very ego invested in wanting more of what we've already gotten. And it's a habit of letting life happen to us that really doesn't work out in our favor. Also, when you're vetting a woman, what you're doing is you're vetting her for her values. Now, you got this list of values in your head, but the question you got to ask yourself is, where did those values come from? For a lot of men today, they don't come from strong male figures, and they definitely don't come from somebody with your best interests in mind. A lot of men are taught values from their divorced mom, for example, who does nothing but badmouth their horrible father. The problem was your dad was able to attract your mom for a while. So the kind of things that worked, she throws those out as well, thinking that they're also horrible. And you end up waking up what Rollo Tomasi calls as a promise keeper, where you promise you're never going to be anything like that man who hurt your mom's feelings. The problem is, that guy has a lot of good qualities and good values, and you've basically abandoned them. Vetting is another issue as well. It only works if everybody else is vetting from the same playbook. Now, I don't know if anybody showed you this or not, but men and women aren't different. We don't play by the same rules. We don't want the same things. We're not the same people. The values that a lot of these kind of guys use only work if everybody else values them as well. So, for example, you can have a divorce. Your society doesn't really prevent that at all. In fact, they facilitate it. Same things with adultery. It used to be considered a crime even, but right now it's really no big deal. So these values you're looking for, they just aren't the same values that society runs on. And all you're doing is living a fantasy while hamstringing yourself when it comes to actually finding a relationship that works. And vetting at its core, it's a narcissistic fantasy. You wear on your sleeve the types of values that you want to have in a woman. The kind of woman that's going to have that, especially if you're that same traditional conservative guy that doesn't like approaching a lot of women. The kind of woman that's going to work for is the one that sees it written on you. She's maybe at the tail end of I wasted my 20s and she wants babies or whatever it is she wants. She sees that if she does this checklist of activities you have, that she'll get what she wants. Now, it's typical from something called Briffault's Law that in these kind of situations, once a girl gets what she wants, she doesn't have to keep up the pretenses anymore. So that list you vetted for, she met all the criteria. Once she gets what she wants, no need to worry about that anymore. And you find that the girl you married, for example, is not the same girl that you were dating. Some guys find this out literally the week after the wedding. Worst case scenarios, and more common ones after the first baby comes. It's essentially lying to you to give you that illusion. and it's not a healthy thing for anybody. Not to mention, you're on your side, you have a huge ego investment because you vetted this woman, so your ego is attached to your vetting being proper and correct. Nothing else is going to tell you that you're wrong because you're the man. Except for that time she went out, girls' night out, didn't come back till 6 in the morning. Well, that doesn't really count, right? Because you vetted her properly and there was obviously a good excuse for it. And she gives you guys will get the most ridiculous excuses that are just plain false, but they're so ego invested in the lie that they make it their reality. But let's say I'm wrong, and let's say you do know what you want, even though you're an early guy in his 20s. You vetted a woman for values, those values were in your best interests. Everybody else in your society is walking by the same playbook that you are. You haven't invested your ego into it, and you're perfectly happy to walk away if things change. Even if all of the stuff that I have been telling you for the last 6 minutes is wrong, it doesn't even work very well. You're getting a snapshot into somebody's life and expecting it to work as a longitudinal study. People change. People change for all sorts of reasons. And if you're treating vetting as sacrosanct, you're putting all your chips in the bucket that this person in front of you is never going to change for the rest of your life. And I hate to break it to you. Talk to anybody who's been on this earth for longer than a couple decades, and they will tell you, people change, and not always for the better. Your vetting list is useless. So I'll end this on a positive note. And a little bit of a critique. When people treat vetting as sacrosanct, they often do that to the exclusion of actual relationship strategies. And I'm here to tell you, I have other videos here, you're more than welcome to watch them. Boundary enforcement is far superior, and it doesn't require a lifetime of instilling feminine values in a man for you to understand them. They come from experience. Nobody can set your boundaries, only you can. If you were dating goth girls in your youth and they always did something that really bothered you, well, doesn't matter who you date, those boundaries are still there. Your mom could have complained about your asshole father for your entire life, but you know what? At the end of the day, if a girl's not treating you the way you want to be treated, that's on your boundary list and nobody can tell you differently. The beauty of boundaries is not only do they work over the long term, but they also work in the same capacity that vetting is meant to. If you're going out on a first date and some girl talks trash to the waiter staff or the service people, you know right there that's something you don't want to put up with because you dated a girl that was like that and she was absolutely insufferable. Every time she had a bad mood, she took it out on you. It's right there. You're not vetting for values. You have your boundaries and you've learned them from experience and you know why they're there. You can say you vet a girl because you want to find a young girl with a low notch count and a really strong family. I've got friends who have dated girls from Eastern Europe, married them in high school. They were both virgins. Parents are still together to this day, and they still got divorced because A, they had horrible boundaries, and B, the girl decided to act a damn fool, and why wouldn't she? The guy let her run all over him. So even those very simple, universally accepted lists of what you vet for aren't going to help because they just don't work. On that note, I want to thank you guys for listening in. Enjoy your red pill coffee. This is Ryan Stone. Big shout out to everybody on Patreon who's been listening so far. Thank you so much, guys. We're up to 50 now. None of this would be possible without your continued support. As always, if you're new to the channel, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. Comment below. Engagement is good. Just come check us out on Saturdays. I do Red Morning with Carl from Black Label Logic, where we go over male sexual strategy from a single perspective and a relationship perspective. It's fun times. It's 9 o'clock every Saturday morning, Eastern Standard. Take care, guys.